What's up everyone, Tom from the Airsoft headquarters here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of these scatter guns available on the Airsoft market, available here in the US. Now those are going to be some more of the more popular shotguns, as well as some models coming out in the very near future that are going to be more of the futuristic style. So stay tuned for that conversation. But before we get too deep into the shotgun realm, I do have a quick little ad read for you guys from myself. We're going to roll out right now.
Hey guys, do you like deals? Well, I want to give you a deal. Because YouTube absolutely refuses to make sure that I'm able to make a living, I'm offering you guys a special promo code to my website, airsoftheadquarters.com. If you go and you purchase at least $75 worth of products and you enter promo code YouTube, all lowercase, you can get the chance to get some free swag. I'm clearly too influenced by Donut Operator. When you use this promo code, you have a chance for us to randomly select a patch in order to throw into your order, which means you get free swag. Not only that, but one of the patches could be one of our limited edition store collaborations with the Airsoft Arena. Comes in one of 3 colors. Also, these are limited edition run, which means this is a 1 in 100. I'll throw that in my stuff. You can have that for yourself by using promo code YouTube at checkout. And my light just went out. Woo! Back to the video.
Welcome back. So shotguns within the real world are a very creative style of rifle system. It's a very large bore, and thus you can fit a lot of different types of ammunitions through that larger hole. So we have options such as slug, buckshot, birdshot, turkey shot, tracers, explosive, incendiary, dragon's breath, etc., etc., etc. Even a short series from Demolition Ranch, if you guys possibly for some reason have never heard of him. He has an excellent series where he just loads different stuff into shotgun shells and launches them at targets. It's a phenomenal and hilarious series that I suggest you guys check out, but it goes to show the amount of options that are available within the shotgun platform. Now when it comes to Airsoft specifically, we are very limited when it comes to the shotgun rifles that have that larger bore and give you the selection of different types of loads that you can put through that shotgun. So while there is the same resemblance, the action or the power source is going to be very different from model to model to model. So we're going to try to break things down as blanket as possible. And I am going to leave things up to you as far as what type of rifle system you may be looking for and maybe doing your own further research because quite honestly, there is a lot of different models on the market. And this video would be way longer if I actually went through and broke things down. So for that, that's for another time. Whole nother video, whole nother time. So with Airsoft shotguns, we did do a couple of things as far as research and preparation involving this video. And one of the things that we did was a accuracy and distance shooting test. And for that series, we need to don our scientific garb. So we have the glasses and the nerdy white shirt. So one of the first things I want to break down for you guys is the power source or the type of propellant involving shotguns or scatter guns. Now, the most popular type of shotgun that we are familiar with is the standard pump action style. And with these systems, most typically, the action of the pump is going to compress an internal spring system. So these are going to work very similarly to how you see the Navrich or the Kicking Mustang bolt action rifles, where they are just manually compressing a spring, and the trigger pull is what sends a BB out of the barrel. That is the most common and the cheapest option available for shotgun system. The second most popular option is going to be the gas-powered system, and these are going to be a little bit more expensive because they work off of a compressed gas system, very similarly to gas blowback magazines, where the gas is stored inside the magazine. So there's a little reservoir in the back here. You still have the same action of the pump, but it's going to have a little bit of gas coming out of the barrel, propelling those BBs outwards. We also, for a model that I currently don't have right now, there is one, maybe two models out there that are going to be battery-powered systems. The most popular model that you guys may have seen before is the AA-12. Very popular shotgun amongst video games and movies, and we can show a little clip of that AA-12 in action, but that is going to be battery-powered. There are also different types of conversions involving the AA-12, other battery-powered system, as well as the gas-powered shotguns, and doing what is called an HPA conversion, which takes the larger oxygen tanks like so, and the benefit with this is players find that there is going to be more consistency in performance because it comes from a larger reservoir of compressed air. So that is some of the propellants or power systems that are available for shotguns. The number of BBs that come out of the inner barrel are also going to fluctuate from model to model to model. While there are going to be models that you can choose and select the different number of BBs that come out of the inner barrel, you have such options such as 1 shot, 3 shot, 5 shot, 6 shot, 10 shot, and in some cases up to a 24 shot load. So you have a lot of options, and like I said, there are only a handful that will really allow you to choose the full selection of 1 to 24. Otherwise, you are going to be stuck with the one set of numbers that shotgun or rifle system is going to shoot. For example, all the ones that I have here have a preset number of BBs that they can shoot. This one, in this case, can only shoot 1 BB at a time. This one only has the option to shoot 3 BBs out of the barrel. These two over here only have the option of 3 BBs out of those inner barrels, even though they have a different external system and are coming from a different brand. The gas one that I have here does have the option of 3 or 6, but you can't go down to 1 and you can't go up to 24. You only have the option of 3 or 6. With some of these shotguns, you also have different type of fire modes, which is a very crazy thing to consider with shotguns. Since we all typically know shotguns to be a pump action, that is typically the most popular type of fire mode, which means for every shot, you need to pump that pump in order to load a single BB and then be able to fire it. So we have pump action. There are also options on the market, typically some that are going to be gas-powered, very old models by the way, that are going to be semi-automatic. So you do have the option of loading your shells or your shots and then doing pop, 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 pop in a semi-automatic fashion. There are also options that have full auto. Those are significantly fewer, but there are still some out there that have that as an option. So keep that in mind when you're doing your research as well, if you want strictly pump action, semi-automatic, or the option of full. So also when considering the amount of BBs that can be fired with a single shot, or the option of having different types of fire modes, you also have the consideration of having a shell ejecting or a non-shell ejecting shotgun. Crazy as it might be, airsoft shotguns a lot of times, well, most of the time, are not going to be a shell ejecting system. Shell ejecting you typically pay a little bit more for, and the individual cost of shells are significantly higher. For example, this 6-pack of shotgun shells roughly costs anywhere from $15 to $20. Compared to a shell ejecting model, the APS model specifically, a 4-shell pack is going to cost around $23. And that does not include the wadding or the cap in order to compress and pack the individual shells in that system. So you are paying a little bit more per shell for shell ejecting. There's also the fact that you typically get less shots in a shell ejecting platform than you do a non-shell ejecting platform. With that as well, you also have the risk of losing the shells on the field. It happens very, very often, even with the non-shell ejecting platform. And I see the shell ejecting shells all over the place down at the Airsoft arena when we do visit that. And so it's very common occurrence that those shells are lost. So I can't possibly imagine having to constantly go back and look for shells, and even more often not finding those shells. So you have those options as well if you want super high realism, or if you want a little bit more Airsoft performance base. Now we're actually going to get into the science, the actual performance results from these different types of shotguns. And the first thing we're going to look for is accuracy with different weights. Now, I have a series of targets here that I did shoot at a couple of times, and here is the results of .20s versus .32s at a distance of 25 versus 50 feet, which I did take a tape measure and did test everything out with. So with the .20, as we know, is going to be a lighter weight projectile and is going to be more apt to having a non-linear flight path. Meaning, if you are shooting outdoors, a slight breeze can knock those BBs off to the side. If you're shooting through brush, those brush are going to knock the BBs out of the way, or just have inconsistencies. Here I have a clip of me shooting these .20s at distance, and we can kind of see that they go a little bit everywhere. And we can see here at 25 feet, you know, they don't have a whole lot of length in order to spread out from that inner barrel. So between the .20s and the .32s, .32s being a significantly heavier weight, we don't see nearly as negative effects at super close distance. Now, the .32s are definitely going to hurt significantly more compared to the 2.0s at 25 feet. It is more similar to a wiffle ball versus a baseball. You know, at very close distance, I would rather be hit with a wiffle ball rather than a baseball. However, if we if we look at the results at the 50-foot mark, we now have a lot more inconsistency. We have the one grouping size, you know, that's kind of all over the place at that 50 feet. We have a very wide group, and then we also have a tight pattern with .20s. 3.2s, we, at that same distance, suffer from the heavier weight pull, which means there's not nearly enough velocity or gas in order to fully send those BBs along a more linear flight path. So we do see that those drop even at 50 feet. And we can see that from evidence right here. I did scatter this a couple of times at even greater distances, I think with the 6-shot. And we can see that at distance, even with 2.0s, they do spread out pretty well. So we have that to look at as well. So there are a lot of benefits to utilizing lighter weight BBs inside of spring shotguns, especially when we start looking at the coming winter season. More players that are familiar with outdoor plays will now start transitioning to indoors, and spring shotguns or even gas shotguns is a very cheap and affordable option for players that have their outdoor-based rifle systems that don't want to spend a lot of cash for an indoor rifle setup. So spring shotguns typically is what we see often enough. Not the most often, but often enough to where we can see a lot of shotgun players on the field. Now, I have been a beginner player myself, and I've utilized spring shotguns, and I still continue to see the same results with other players. What I would do is, not with this shotgun specifically, but with a similar model from years ago, I would load the .20 weight BBs inside of the shotgun, and then with the spread we see even at 50 feet, if I come around a corner and I see multiple enemy players stacked up against a doorway, I could fire a single shot in their general direction, and I could get more than one target with that single shot, meaning the BBs will spread and hit multiple people in that single shot. It has been proven to be super effective within indoor environments with that spread pattern. I've done it and I've seen it from other players, and it has been proven to be super tactical, or efficiently has been proven to be super efficient in tactical environments. I'm stumbling my words. Now, some of the other things that we need to consider as well is the different type of distances that these BBs can go, which is kind of the same thing as accuracy, but it's a little bit different. So, the remaining targets are going to be the different type of number of shots per shotgun platform. So the very first target is going to be the single shot spring-powered pump shotgun, which we have here, shooting at distances of 25, 50, and 75 feet, if we can manage to reach that far. And that's 75 feet. But I'll break that down in a second. With 0.20s. So keep that in mind, I'm utilizing the lightest weight possible with all of these accuracy tests, or distance tests. So 25 feet, all within a 6-inch group, highly effective. Going out to 50 feet, 8-inch group, highly effective. Going out to 75 feet, there we see a little bit more spread, but keep in mind that with this one, we don't have set iron sights. So I am utilizing just the length of the rifle in order to aim down sights. A little bit more challenging in order to utilize non-iron sight systems, but still can be pretty effective, even with super lightweight BBs. Next up, at least underneath here, is our tri-shot or selectable 6-shot gas shotgun. This is where we kind of get into the weeds because all of the distances are going to be dependent on the volume of gas that is inside of that reservoir. So meaning if we have less gas, that means that there's going to be less air volume to propel larger quantities of BBs through those inner barrels. I also want to show you that with that single shotgun, it is utilizing a single inner barrel that we see right here, which means it propels just a single BB through this space. Versus, the other 4 models that I have here utilizes 3 inner barrels. So in the case of the gas shotgun, it loads 2 BBs inside of each inner barrel for a 6-shot option. Now there's a couple of benefits. Obviously, you have multiple BBs. The downside is that you don't have a selectable or a tunable hop-up system. So whatever these are going to be set at the factory, unfortunately, is what these are set at. There is no good way in order to change your hop-up with these tri-shot or these tri-inner barrel shotguns. Versus the single shot that I have here, it does have an adjustable hop-up unit. So we could utilize different weight BBs, and we could tune the backspin of that BB with that model right there. Couple different pros and cons to those. So this guy, we were utilizing tri-shot specifically. So we have our couple of shots at 25 feet, pretty good spread as far as I can tell, hit most of the body, but we did see some inconsistencies, again with that gas pressure at 50 feet, where we have a somewhat smaller grouping size for some reason. Not exactly sure why. It could very well be, and we'll have to double check the footage, that there could be some BBs that escaped the ridges of the paper. I mean, there's so many BBs flying through the air, it's hard to keep track sometimes. So we have that as an option. And then even going back to 75 feet, and even while utilizing iron sights, I could see that these are harder to reach the target, meaning that between 3-shot and 6-shot, there may be 1 or 2 BBs that fall short of the target, while there's one that seems to be just powered enough by gas to have a flat linear flight path to that target. So there's a little bit of inconsistencies in performance there. And just for fun, I did put this on 6-shot, and I did try it a bunch at distance. It had way worse performance compared to the tri-shot. So we had way more BBs fall short of the target than we did with the tri-shot. So we have that as performance as well. Tri-shot, 3 BBs, more effective than 6 BBs at distance. Lastly, we have the tri-shot spring shotguns. Now here is where we get the most inconsistent of results. Primarily, we believe, from those set hop-up units from the factory. So we started our testing with the A&K 870 spring power, just as a super tactical option for you guys as an example. Had very good results at the 25 foot, taking 2 shots, getting good size groupings, but then going to 50 feet and seeing that one of the inner barrels is very inconsistent to the other 2 inner barrels. So in testing, we did notice, and here's a little clip for you guys, that one of the BBs would sometimes shoot out of the barrel at a 90-degree angle, which is super crazy because typically there's supposed to be some type of flashing or debris along the inner diameter of that outer barrel in order to really affect the BB flight path by that much. I mean a straight 90-degree angle. But I'm feeling around on the inside here and I'm visually inspecting and there's nothing. So there's something definitely wrong as far as this model, as far as shot-to-shot consistency. What's odd enough as well is that it doesn't happen every single time. It happens intermittently. It happened enough to where we needed to cross-examine this model with the same manufacturer long barrel model. Now I want to make things absolutely clear. The length of the inner barrels are the exact same, which is about where the pump ends on these guys. So I'm going to hold these side by side. So the inner barrels end at the same space. What's different is going to be the outer barrel shell, which doesn't do anything as far as adding performance or creating anything that's going to be more consistent. So internally the exact same as this guy. This one performs phenomenally at 75 feet. We tried to shoot this one at 75 feet and we had nothing but issues. Took this one to 75 feet and we were able to hit the target, but the target we hit very, very low. In fact, trying to course correct and aiming slightly upwards of the target in order to range at 75 feet, even with .20s. So shotguns have been proven here in this test to not be effective at great distances. Now, I'm not saying that all shotguns aren't going to be terrible performers at distance. The ones that I have here definitely are not going to be great examples of that. For sure, there are some out there that are phenomenal. The ones that I have here are not. Now, for additional testing, I did put .40s inside of the gas model here. Now, with gas, these do have a higher volume of air in order to propel the BBs out at a higher velocity. At least that's what they're supposed to. So I wanted to put a smaller target, because I unfortunately ran out of the larger ones. I didn't want to utilize the larger ones that I've already shot with accuracy results with .40s, but utilizing a super heavyweight BB in order to see if there is going to be enough air volume in order to see it perform at any distance. Even at 60, 75 feet, trying to hit the target out of 10 shots, so 30 total BBs, did not hit the target once. So even utilizing heavier weight BBs to get a potentially more linear flight path and create less spread, we did in fact see that did not help at all. So probably 2.0s or 2.5s are going to be your best friend in this case. One other thing that I want to look at is going to be some of the external build construction that are going to be on some of these models. So the very first one that we looked at, the single shot pump shotgun, is going to be a completely polymer build from tip to butt. So this is going to be super, super lightweight. In fact, because we only have to power a single BB, the pump action is going to be the easiest to pump. So super easy for beginner or younger players. The next one that I brought up was the gas-powered model. Now this one is going to be a little bit more expensive because of that gas reservoir system, but it also is going to be a nicer internal build system to where it has to work with that gas reservoir. So we have a nicer polymer of stock system, nice rubber for the backing, metal receiver, metal barrel, metal mag tube, polymer grip, and metal pump arms. Also very easy in order to actuate that pump. Takes almost no effort at all. Bah! The other model that I have here is going to be the Elite Force Pump Action. So what is cool is that even though it is a tri-shot inner barrel, it does utilize a heavier spring and a slightly larger air voluming system in order to power all three of those BBs at a acceptable distance. As we have seen, right around 60-50 feet optimal performance. So even with a older teenager age that have a little bit more muscle on them, they are going to be strong enough in order to pump that shotgun back, press it back forward, and then fire all three BBs. Now with pump shotguns, you do need to pump it every single time you want to fire. So you do need to do that consistently, and after a full day of play, your shoulders are going to be screaming. I promise you that. Now that is going to be nothing compared to the A&K 870 model that we have here, and this is going to be the old school type of hunter style 870. But with the A&K model, they add additional weights inside of the stock here, so it's even heavier compared to everything else that I have here, even the gas-powered one. So from the very back, we have polymer butt plate, polymer stock, metal receiver, metal mag tube, metal barrel, polymer handguard, rail systems on the left, right, bottom, which I want to talk about in a second, metal pump arms, and they just add more weight to the inside here to make it even heavier. What they've also done is they've made it way harder in order to actuate that pump. While you can do it up in front here, even with myself a little bit more muscular compared to most average airsofters, it still requires a lot of effort in order to get that pump to actuate. And we need to add an additional tool to the very front here in order to assist that pump action. So the easiest method that I have found to actuating the pump here is with that stock in your shoulder, so you can press that pump against the rest of the body in order to pull it back towards you and then push it back forward. Now we have the BCM hand stop here in order to cradle that hand on the inside here, and as we pull backwards, it has a linear it's a linear force movement in line with the entire action of the pump, compared to this guy, the tactical model, which I have equipped with a vertical grip. Now this is the tactical 870, so we have the same overall body, metal receiver, metal barrel, metal mag tube, polymer pump, rails on the pump, rails along the top here for an optic system, Magpul clone of grip, Magpul clone of stock, metal buffer tube with more weights added to it. Now this is an example of what not to utilize. So the entire action of force of the pump is in line with the body of the shotgun here. What happens when we start to apply force backwards utilizing a vertical grip? We start to apply force in a opposite direction. So as we pull with this vertical position, the force is applied in a rotary style. So the bottom part here gets more force and starts to peel away that rail system. And over time, once you rip that rail away and try to reapply it or try to keep something, that vertical grip on the pump, you eventually are going to rip the pump away from the entire mag tube barrel assembly, and you're left with a broken front assembly. We have seen it more than once here. So this is an example of what not to do if you are going to utilize a rail system on your pump, but a flashlight, laser, or a hand step. So even with these guys require a little bit more force. Definitely more for adults that want to be super cool, realistic, immersive action, super hardcore stuff. The other thing I want to bring up is some of the external accessories that you could utilize on these shotguns. So on this 870 like I have here, I have a 2-point sling. Now there are a couple different tactical schools of thoughts when it comes to shotguns in a tactical environment. And those kind of have to be put off to the side when we're talking about airsoft shotguns within a airsoft tactical environment. One of the schools of thought that I kind of agree with that can be utilized is having all of your additional shells along that stock, or along that sling, excuse me. So you can pull that sling off when you're in that tactical environment, do your shooting, pulling from that sling shell reservoir, or whatever you want to call it, in order to load those up into your rifle to supply you ammunition. And then when you are outside the tactical environment, or you need to get more hands-on, you put that sling on, do what you need to do, and then get back into the fight. So we have a couple schools of thoughts with that, and we utilize that as an example. We also have these guys. So this is one that I started out with. This is a 5-shell slot that has Velcro on the very back here. And there's a lawnmower interrupting me again. I'm trying to airsoft science my way through a Monday, and the universe is like, nah, we're gonna make it all loud and shit. Anyway, I was telling you that when I first started airsoft, I utilized this guy. It holds 5 total shells. In my case, it held 6. There's a Velcro backing to it, so your shells would just slide into that nylon fiber webbing, or that nylon fabric webbing, not nylon fiber. So it just holds them in via squishy tension. On your shotgun, you would put a strip of Velcro on the left side of the receiver, because on the right is your shell ejection port, for shell ejecting models at least. So what you would do is, on the Velcro side, slap that one 5-shell fabric slot on there, and then you immediately have your side saddle. Now, one of the other hacks to this is that you would have another 1 or 2 fabric shell holders on your person. So I would put them on the very front face of my plate carrier. That way, when I shot through all 5 of my shells, I could rip away the empty slot, throw that into a pocket, pull that spare one, and then slap that onto the side and have it immediately available. That was one of the best things that I did as far as getting extra shells right away available in order to load up into my shotgun. One of the other things that you could do is, this guy is a Molle backing that holds up to 12 shotgun shells, but it's Molle, so you need to remove some side panels in order to fit your additional shells somewhere else, or have a dedicated shotgun rig for your additional shells. This was small enough and inconspicuous enough to where it just went with multiple loadout rigs. From Elite Force and from other models as well, there are options that come with the side saddle already included in the package. Now, in the case of Elite Force, they include a little rubber pipe or rubber stopper on the inside walls, so you can load your shotgun shells upside down and they're not going to come out. Other side saddles from different brands do not include that rubber stopper, so you have to load these shotgun shells, which have a little lip on the diameter, in from the top so that they don't slide out from the bottom. So Elite Force saw that as a problem, and thank God they actually solved it. So now I can do my shot, extract the one shell, load the other one immediately, and then go shot, remove that one shell, push from the bottom, insert, shot. Of course, you can do different types of setups here. What I have seen, both in the real world and in Airsoft, another additional shotgun hack, is people will load different weights of BBs inside of their shells. So maybe you have your shotgun shells loaded like this. So the ones that have the shells most readily available maybe are the ones loaded with .20s. That way you can rip at those, load those up, and be super fast, and it's easy peasy. Versus the one that's upside down maybe has slightly heavier weight BBs. Still feel usable, but maybe have slightly heavier ones. So maybe now you're shooting .28 weight BBs, so you pull out the .20, pocket that, you're having a little bit of a hard time shooting at distance, so you have your heavier weights, you do your aim shot, and then you hit it. So then you pull out your .20s, reload that, and then reinstall your .20 shell, or maybe even pull from the additional saddle of .20s. That's an additional hack that you guys can utilize when you're doing your shotgun gameplay. Little life hacks for you, airsoft hacks. And that is what we have as far as there. Again, there are so many different models available on the interwebs or in person, depending on where you go. The ones that are going to be coming out that we're most excited for are going to be the Airsoft Innovations Flak 5 and Flak 10. Now, these definitely have been a work in progress from Airsoft Innovations, and for sure have some pros and cons. I can see, for sure can see the Airsoft players having some issues with these. Now, Airsoft Innovations also comes out or has manufactured different types of airsoft grenades as well as 40mm launchable grenades. So the same system as this guy. Pop it from the side and you have your 40mm launchable shell. Airsoft Innovations made a 40mm shell, and because some of the player base wants to inflict as much pain as possible across as many people as possible, have utilized these equipments for negative purposes. So unfortunately, Airsoft Innovations had to correct some of their products in order to make it as player friendly as possible. Unfortunately, I see the Flak 10 and the Flak 5 as being one of these products that players could definitely take advantage of and utilize that to inflict as much pain as possible. So I see a lot of hope and a lot of potential for this product, being that it is M4 magazine loaded. Everyone has M4 magazines. Internal gas reservoir. It's designed like an AR. It's a bullpup design, has a single inner barrel. You can utilize tracer units, tracer BBs. However, with the high volume of BBs and how quickly those are coming out of the inner barrel, we could see some negative drawbacks. I really hope not. We also have KSGs, the AA12s, the PPS, shell ejecting. We just have so many models available for different player bases and what they want to pick up for different realistic actions or airsoft performance base. So we've got a lot of options on the market. But that is all I have for you guys as far as total blanket airsoft shotgun information. Hopefully this was informational for you guys. If you do have any further questions, put them down into the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer each and every single one of those, but we're all done here. You guys take care, stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.